All sim racing news, hardware and software in our news right here, right now. Greetings Rummies and welcome to Rum, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing, and to our regular news roundup, our weekly sim racing news. Welcome to the channel if you're new here, and thanks to all those who come here often, especially those who subscribe. My name is Serta and I will be your host for this video. You may or may not have seen our community post in the channel, but unluckily the weather conditions in Munich forced Rennsport to postpone Maurice Hebecker's appearance in our podcast, as the whole city of Munich was at a standstill because of incredible amounts of snow. Just to give you an impression, the central train station in Munich, a very busy place any time of the year, had to be completely closed for 4 days as trains just could not travel around. In light of that, you can imagine that the offices of Rennsport were quite unreachable. We'll meet with him for our January podcast, if it doesn't snow again then. On the other hand, that gave us the time to prepare a report on the state of the hardware market in general, at least about the companies we could find anything about in our research. You'll find it further along in the video. A small notice from Simocube: they've produced their taco rim also in completely round form, just in case you're interested or are searching for a gift for your best sim racing buddy. And you will have an opportunity to meet us at the Sim Formula Europe in Maastricht in the Netherlands at the beginning of next year. Of course, we'll be running around talking to anybody and everybody about sim racing and about sim racing products. One product that is severely underperforming is Race Room. The newest news is that they are bringing out the DTM 2023. Oh yay, a bunch of GT3 cars to race on, something we cannot do in any other sim. And the surviving team of WRC warned that their 1.40 update due on the 14th of December may break any tuning you have done on your controllers. Seems they are going to redo the code for controllers heavily, which sounds like a good idea based on our tests and a lot of feedback from the community. And why do I talk about the surviving team? Go further into the video to find out. The update of the... Hang on, I'm losing track here. Anyway, Razer have published yet another update, raising the software to version 1.535, once again correcting small things here and there. One thing that still does not work correctly are the faster cards, so only jump into those if you want to find out all the things that are wrong. Else, stick with the slower cards. Razer have also reduced the rate at which paddles build, so they are not as fast as deep as they were until now. As always, tire treads have been updated in many cars. The F Retro Gen 1 saw minor corrections, and in the FV10 Gen 2 the default gear ratio has been corrected. Kart crosses get a bit more downforce and the AI is better at handling them, as they do in rallycross cars, which also saw a change in the standard brake bias, moving it a bit to the front. F-High-Techs and rallycross cars saw some adjustments to the launch control. The AI saw its racing lines redone in many tracks, see the link in the description of the video for a detailed list. AI, fuel load and tire wear performance has been checked and redone where needed, and the overall driving behavior corrected depending on the driven car. Watkins Glen and Spa 93 had some small corrections and all the tracks got a bit more grip. And if it was too windy in the F-Classic G4 M2 and the F-High-Tech G1 M2, it might have had something to do with the missing windscreen in those two models. While it doesn't make the situation less sad, this was to be expected. EA is dropping an undisclosed number of developers from Codemasters roster in time to mess up their holidays. Yay! It was to be expected as Cody's were behind Need for Speed Unbound, F1 23 and EA's WRC, 3 games that delivered lackluster quality and sold in lackluster numbers. EA being so intransparent about how many people they are dropping, how they chose whom to drop and what they expect to gain of it, maybe EA being EA, or it may be a desperate move by management to save their patouches. Because we notice that when games don't do well, it's normally the developers who are let go, but almost never the managers who are at the core of the bad decisions that lead to the games not doing well. And in the handful of cases this happens, they normally get a golden parachute. We also suppose management is behind the empty and soulless blather by which the layoffs were announced. With any luck, the Codemaster developers will do a zero punctuation thing and go build a gaming studio owned by the workers, and do a better rally game than EA Sports trademark WRC. iRacing have brought out their Season 1 2024 release early, so you can pay to play even earlier. With the Audi R8 GT3 Evo 2 being the headline, unlike the Assetto Corsa Competizione variant, this Evo 2 isn't horribly overpowered. So if you have the previous iteration, don't feel duty-bound to get this one, because yes, even if you have the previous Audi R8 GT3, you will have to pay for this evolution. Other new additions now available are the 2 configurations of Mugello, a full artwork update of Okayama, and a new track, Slinger Speedway, the world's fastest quarter mile. So if short ovals are your thing, get on it and get driving. The new damage model iRacing are slowly implementing has been worked on the Audi R8 LMS, Evo 2 GT3, HPD ARX01C, Dirt Modifieds, Off-Road Pro 2 Lights, Off-Road Pro 2 trucks, and a large number of NASCARs. AI racing has also been enabled at the previously mentioned tracks that have been added, as well as Homestead and Silverstone circuits. With all those new challenges, there have also been hundreds of new pre-made setups for you to try out, which might bring you closer to the leaders of the field. Fanatec published last week their data for 2023, and while we were internally discussing the ramifications, we realized we could give you an excellent overview about the market for wheelbases, at least as much as we can gather through research and our conversations with the companies. Not surprisingly, for now, the market is mostly divided in 3 big chunks held by Fanatec, Logitech and Thrustmaster in similar percentages, which amount to almost 3/4 of the whole market. Of the rest, Simucube and Moza are the better known names, but also companies with less resounding names, and in the case of PXN clearly worse quality, all get the rest. Simucube and Moza make about 5% of the market each. Companies like Asetek are smaller than that. With regards to Fanatec, while the customer base grew by an eye-watering 227% in the 4 years between 2019 and 2023, it seems the market has reached a certain saturation, as in 2023 this high level of revenue went down by a bit over 35%. Where there's still room for growth is the entry-level market, which is one of the reasons Fanatec is releasing ever so cheap DD wheels. Get the customers soon, whet their appetite, move them along through the walled garden, but keep them in the walled garden. Fanatec will close this year with a small loss after costs and taxes because they are moving their headquarters to the Bavarian city of Landshut. Getting the building and its financing in place did of course eat up into their earnings, but they expect to be back on track by next year. This is by far not an MSG situation here. Also, it's quite possible that moving to a city will make them more attractive to engineers. The market for engineers is quite empty and contested in Europe, and you have to build up an attractive proposition for them to go to you. That is, if Fanatec wants to invest anything in research research and development, which in the last years has been as lacking as their customer support. For the next year, it seems they are working on a product called GTDD Extreme, which will be an extension of their GTDD offering, and are moving into the market for rigs, which makes sense if you consider the growth curve of a sim racer. Things don't look so rosy for Thrustmaster. Bearing in mind it's impossible to divide between their controller markets so as to only look at sim racing, they report a loss of over 3 million euro. Still, things are looking healthy enough for them as long as they can turn the wheel to profit, as their assets are much bigger than the debt they have. Pun by the way intended. As we have no data about how well or not their DD wheel is selling, we don't know if they will be able to hold on to their share in the market. Based on hearsay, it does not seem to do as well as they had expected. Of course, one very important way to hold that market share is to find the right place to reach the market, and Logitech and Thrustmaster have the brand recognition as well as the space in the shelf of many a local business and especially big franchises. Overcoming that gap is one of the reasons Asetek struck their deal with Micro Center, and why Fanatec are looking to strike similar deals, and why you may start seeing their products on Amazon and other online or brick-and-mortar retailers. All in all, Fanatec's position within the market is strong, and while smaller companies like Simukube, Moza, or in the future Asetek are working hard on their share of the market, they still have a long way to go to make Fanatec's life difficult. The new and affordable wheel makers expansion may be more to Thrustmaster or Logitech's detriment, as their position in the market is wobbly with only one DD product and too high a price. And while we could not find any data with regards to Logitech, we don't expect their DD wheel to have fared better than Thrustmaster's. Logitech, on the other hand, is a big company producing all manners of hardware and may not even register the blip in their radar that is their wheel sales slowing down.
We build products that feel like real race cars.
Asetek hosted a live Q&A event on YouTube this week with an unparalleled level of honesty and openness from the sim racing subdivision. Asetek has been successful for many years now in the PC cooling business, but in the words of the Asetek Sim Sports CEO Andre Eriksson, they wanted another leg to stand on, knowing their prior success wouldn't sustain them forever. So let's see how their second leg looks like next year, shall we? While Asetek's grand strategy is to become a one-stop shop for sim racing, including food and handwear eventually, they cannot just throw money and people into 100 projects and see what happens, but have to choose their priorities wisely. In Q1 2024, Asetek are hoping to release new button caps, because it seems not everyone likes orange on their wheels. They will also be releasing a La Prima quick release, all the mechanical benefits of the Asetek system with no electronics, which of course makes it more affordable. Andre also showed of their prototype hub extender, which does have electronic pass-through included and will allow mounting your monitors much closer to the wheel, increasing your effective field of view. This has been an option for aftermarket wheels thanks to the USB quick release already on the market, but Asetek customers were quite understandably asking, where are our extensions? Once again, Asetek listening and reacting to the requests of their customers. Along with that, a new front mount will make the bases compatible with any rigs that support Fanatec bases, as the hole pattern of that one is the same as the Fanatec hole pattern. Another front face mount compatible with aluminum profile rigs is also slated for Q1 of 2024, allowing a variety of adjustments to be made for those with a rig built to run it. While it looks delicate, Andre insisted that the 5mm steel it's made from is more than enough to maintain rigidity under the enormous forces exerted by the wheelbases. Further into the future, Asetek are looking to finally come through on their promise of having upgradable parts for their bases. The issue here is that they have to find a way for buyers to change the parts without breaking anything, and the way the bases are constructed right now leads to a lot of fiddling, which could lead to a lot of non-functioning wheelbases due to user mistakes, which in turn are due to the complex construction. The power supplies between La Prima and Forte wheelbases are also different, so it's not a simple replacement for the user to make. Also coming in Q2 2024 will be upgradable wheel sets. If you want to upgrade from the La Prima wheel with no LEDs to the Forte with full RGB coverage, you'll be able to send the front plates back to Asetek and they will send you out a shiny new Forte faceplate for you to reattach to the rest of the wheel and wheelbase. Going more into the future, Andre had several reveals on the livestream. New Invicta pedals and a thoroughly reworked Invicta wheel and button box options are in the design stage. The Invicta wheel will be made of aluminium and carbon with only a little bit of plastic. Asetek expects to have it ready for market at the end of Q2 or early Q3 of 24. On the other hand, they have cooperations ongoing with 17 different rim makers, therefore making rims for everyone and everything is not their biggest priority. We also got the clear statement that Asetek has no hydraulic pedals planned, no further haptics other than the ABS emulation, which has no high priority. It's on a general roadmap, but nothing more. Also mentioned but filed under low priority were an Asetek shifter and a handbrake expected sometime in 2024, as well as extensions to the modular ecosystem Asetek is building with smaller diameter wheels for rally and drift on the carts, but as said, they are a small team and have to prioritize effectively. And for those hoping to have an Asetek branded dashboard for your wheelbase, you'll have to wait a little longer, as this is another low priority, will arrive when it's ready piece of kit. Andre also hinted at a Simric being in the works but gave no other details. Maybe they'll be able to display it in the 2024 Sim Racing Expo and start selling it in 2025. But that's a big maybe. And soon, a new website will allow you to configure your favorite combination of Asetek products and even get bundles. Finally, there was a question of whether PlayStation and Xbox compatibility will be coming at all, to which Andres' response was more telling than anything that he could actually tell, which is that he is under several non-disclosure agreements and would not specify which brand, so at some indeterminate point in the future there may be Asetek bases and pedals compatible with the console twins. As we said in the past, the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland 2024 season is going to be held on Rennsport, and despite the name, it's open to anyone wanting to participate who has a Rennsport closed beta key, which soon should be more than 40,000 people. Pre-quali for the first round started on Friday and the race was held today, but don't fret, there's a lot more races to go. The plan is to have 2 races per racing day, with the grid of the second race decided by the first race and only the second race being the one points are given for. As I said, there's many more rounds to go, as it's going to be 6 rounds in total. The first round, the one that took place today, was at Hockenheim, then Spa on January 21st and Monza on February 4th. While the rest of the races will run until April, the tracks have not been decided yet. You have to be signed up for the Cup up the Porsche Esports site, see the link in our description. In preparation for the Cup, there was also a small Rennsport update deployed, improving the behavior of the Porsche and having the advertisement banners on the tracks be interchangeable. It also added 12 Porsche liveries to the sim.